Would you believe the connection between insomnia, sleep problems, or sleep inefficiency, and endometriosis? I actually didn't understand that connection, but I struggled with sleep problems ever since the introduction of technology into my life because I was very much raised, outdoors, anti technology, and all that. And my biggest problem, since the beginning, was just really heavy, really bad periods. And then that eventually spiraled into pain outside of my period, and then nausea, and then this, and then that. And there's so many symptoms common to endometriosis, which I had and would later confirm through surgery. But I also, since the introduction of technology into my life, like when I was 17 or 18 or so, when I actually started using a computer regularly, is when I actually started having a ton of sleep problems. I was an insomniac. I couldn't fall asleep. I considered myself a night owl, and there's no such thing. A night owl is a disruptive circadian rhythm. That's all. And it's really interesting how melatonin production, mitochondrial function, so the same parts of your cell that are responsible for beginning the production of hormones, for creating the charge, the electromagnetic charge that runs your life and keeps you alive, are the ones that make most of the melatonin. And then the rest of the melatonin is in your pineal gland, which is released from darkness. But even that is connected to the clock rhythms of your body. So whether or not you can't sleep or can't wake up or can sleep forever and never feel refreshed, you have a sleep problem. It's just like the flip side of the same coin. Whether you have heads or tails, still holding the coin. And I just happened to be one of the people who couldn't fall asleep and then would wake up in the middle of the night with restless legs. Whereas there are other people who have no issue falling asleep and then they can continue sleeping for an eternity. That was a big part of my story. And actually, the motivation behind doing this wasn't even for me. It was for my daughter. My daughter was an insomniac, and I was like, I have one older child who hasn't slept more than 2 hours at a time for the entire 5 years of her life. And then a baby who's less than 1 and nursing at night. And then I don't sleep and I'm restless at night. And if any of you are moms, I'm sure you could be like, please, just kill me now. Come on. I'll pull all my hair out. And that was the motivation behind it. What you need to do is so simple. Like what I did, I changed all my lights in my house to circadian friendly lighting. I started watching the sunrise. And I was a night owl. Like right before that, I was working on a book for my health coaching clients. And I would be up until 1:30, 2 a.m. working on it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just a night owl. And then I flip everything over. I start forcing myself to wake up in the morning no matter how tired I am. And my daughter, of course, being the younger one, children they adapt faster. They get fixed faster. They heal faster for a multitude of reasons that you may or may not be familiar with. But they do. And so within a week, she started sleeping miles better than she ever had in her entire life. I started feeling completely different. And very, very quickly, I started falling asleep with no problem. I still got mild restless legs until I understood non-native EMFs and I started unplugging my router at night. Then my restless legs disappeared and they turned into an EMF detector. Anytime somebody in the family would be watching TV late at night and forget to unplug the modem, bam, I would wake up 2, 3 a.m. Terrible restless legs. Fixing my sleep, fixing my rhythms, I went from being a night owl to a morning owl and being the most productive in the early hours of the morning. No doubt about it. Always. I'm the most productive in the morning. And since, again, the computer was introduced into my life, that it was a regular thing, that I was using all the time, I couldn't sleep. I was a night owl. So think of that correlation for a minute here, though. Here's a computer. Here's a phone. Now you can't sleep. No, it can't possibly be the phone. Obviously, it's the phone. People attribute sleeplessness, especially moms, to their kids. Well, it's just a baby. The baby is waking me up to nurse, and there's no other reason. It just has to do with that. No, there is another reason. Your circadian rhythms suck. You're passing on your circadian rhythms through your child by touch, by habit, by lifestyle, by breast milk. And they are then adopting those habits. And that's why they have the witching hour. That's why they can't sleep at night. Or that's why they wake you up nonstop to nurse. Because their circadian rhythms are just as screwed up as yours. It's easy to believe that there's nothing you can do about it. It's easy to convince yourself that you're a night owl and therefore you're always going to be a night owl, or your baby's always just going to be a baby and wake you up nonstop in the middle of the night. Just for a second, step back and think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Imagine you're a hunter-gatherer and you have a baby. You're a woman, which women still hunted. They didn't just stay at camp at all. And so you need to wake up and you need to carry your baby on your back. And then you need to hunt, forage, do all the daily tasks that you do in a natural environment, dangerous world where there's wild animals that can attack you. How good do you think it would be for survival of a species if we were so tired, without coffee or stimulants, and we couldn't remember things? Like even mom brain. This even ties into mom brain. How much of a detriment do you think it would be to the survival of you and your child especially, so survival of the species, if you, as a result of being a mother and nursing, were constantly sleep deprived, couldn't sleep through the night, didn't have enough rest to focus, to see the bear in the corner of your eye so you could shoot it with your bow, to have that memory, eye coordination, mental acuity to survive? It would be horrendous. You would lose all your kids. 100%. We were never built to have mom brains or get terrible sleep, even with interrupted sleep. As breastfeeding women, prolactin and a lot of the other hormones that change during breastfeeding are there to help us get more sleep, even though it may be more interrupted. So anyways, the moral of the story being, what I learned is that there's so much you can do about it if you can get out of your head and stop playing the victim to yourself. Be like, well, you know what? I'm a night owl. I sleep like crap and I feel like garbage in the morning. I don't want that to happen anymore. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care if it's hard. I don't need it to be easy. I just need it to work. That was my mentality. And I didn't let anything stop me. Even my husband, who may not have been super on board at the beginning. I know how to stand on a ladder. I can change all the lights. It's for our kids' sake. For the family's sake. And then everybody adapts, and the changes benefit you so profoundly that whoever is skeptical can't deny it anymore. The transformation of my sleep was probably a key moving point, not just because of the connection between sleep and endometriosis, or sleep and regeneration. So without deep restorative sleep, as in your body's actually making the repairs it needs to make so you can heal and function better and wake up alert without an alarm clock, without needing a coffee, without needing a sugar hit, without needing whatever it is your drug of choice is the cornerstone of fixing any kind of problem, including weight loss. So if you don't address your sleep, and I had all the sleep hygiene things done already. I had blackout blinds in my room. My room was pitch black. I covered every single LED light. I didn't work in my bedroom. I kept things separate. I didn't go in the bed until I was ready to fall asleep. I tried to stay out of the bed if I couldn't fall asleep. Like, all the standard sleep hygiene nonsense is exactly that, a load of nonsense. Because your sleep and your high quality sleep is a function of the clocks in your body. And if they're telling the wrong time, they think it's noon when it's actually 9:30 p.m. Well, obviously, you're not going to be able to sleep. And then if you are not restoring yourself during sleep, you're waking up on yesterday's proteins. All of the building blocks of your body that you need to work and function properly. I mean, the majority of your body is totally made up of protein. So these proteins have to be repaired, regenerated, and fixed up. And if that's not happening, then you're going to wake up tired and their lifespan is going to shorten and you're going to end up with problems because they're not being renewed, and that's why you feel like garbage. So the question is, and this is what you should ask yourself, do you want to tell yourself that you're a night owl, or that your baby is just being a baby and can't sleep any better without forcing them to, which I never did, and my baby magically started sleeping? Or maybe, is there something inconvenient yet simple that you need to do that might feel overwhelming and will be a big change, but will actually get you all the results you want? It won't be easy, but it'll work. Would you do it?